All right, good morning. On behalf of the Cruz County Board of Supervisors, I welcome you all to our Wednesday, August 7th, 2019 special Truth and Taxation meeting. At this time, I'd like to go to items 1 and 2. And just for the record, we're going to do item 1 and 2, and then we'll go ahead and open it up to call to the public. And out of courtesy, we ask that you please keep your comments to about 5 minutes. Okay? We'll go ahead and start out with Mr. Mauricio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good morning, members of the community. Thank you for being here. Good morning to our elected officials and our department heads also as well. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as required by the Arizona Revised Statute, we're going to be presenting the truth in taxation, and I'm going to be going over the primary tax and the overall assessed values increase and what impact it does. And then I will be reviewing also the 10-cent proposed increase as well on and both on primary and secondary. So the truth in taxation for the primary tax, the county had an overall, the entire county was assessed and had an overall value increase. That gave us a primary property tax levy of $13,363,247, which is up from the previous year based on the overall value increase. If we keep the property tax rate the same at 3.8815, similar to last year, then the increase on an annual increase on a home valued at $100,000 would be $5.64. That would be based on an overall assessed value increase only, and that would be about 47 cents a month increase on an average tax bill. However, if your house values didn't change, then your tax rate remains the same. There's no change on that. Okay? Individual experiences may be different depending on your tax valuation.
If I may interject, it depends on where you live and what's been going on with sales and all that, right?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that is correct. That's that's a determination that's being done by the assessor, and it depends on the geographical area where you live. And every property is assessed, and some properties were assessed higher, and some remained the same. Some properties even were assessed lower. Correct.
Thank you.
So I'll go over the same exercise, and this is with the proposal that staff is recommending a primary tax levy amount of $13,707,528. This amount includes the proposed 10 cents increase on the primary property tax rate to 3.9815. What this will do, this would generate an additional $344,281 with this 10 cents proposed increase. And it'll be a total increase of $15.64 annual increase on a home valued at $100,000, or about $1.30 a month increase. This proposal includes this $15.64. That includes both the assessed value increase and the 10-cent proposal. Okay. The increase with the 10 cents is only a $10 additional. Any questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board? The reason that staff did conducted an analysis, and we're impacted by state mandated increases. Those are increases that we have no control over. So basically, we've noticed that the last year we've been able to hold our normal operation expenses at a minimal and not increase expenses. However, these are expenses that the state has carried forward over onto the county that we have no control. I just wanted to point out the major ones. This, for example, is the voter approved Proposition 206 that was approved in 2016. It was generated from an $8.05 all the way to a $12 increase, which we're going to have in 2020. That's, in perspective, from right now to 2020, it's going to be a whole $1 that we're going to be increased. So when that started to where it is right now, it's a 49% increase that voter approved Proposition 206. So our impact for this coming year is $440,000, something that we don't have any control over. Our Arizona long-term care system. So this is a program to help fixed income seniors and disabled individuals afford the care they need. That's another state mandated expense that's increasing $182,000 for our FY 2019-2020 budget. We've also had an increase in our retirement plans, a total of $185,000. Our healthcare insurance cost has increased $6,000, and that impacts $218,000.
6%.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6%. Yes, thank you. Our liability insurance increase of 9%. That's an impact of $32,000. So overall, we're looking for this coming year, 1920. We're looking at mandated increases of over $1 million. So that's the staff recommendation that we are submitting to the board. For the proposed 10 cents primary tax and the assessed value increase, the levy amount would be an additional $912,000 to our general fund, which would still leave us with a deficit of $144,000.
Which will be from the rainy day fund?
Which, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, yes, which would be coming out from our savings. That is correct. Any questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on the mandated expenses? I'll go over the exercise again, similar to what we just went over on the primary tax. So in compliance again with Arizona revised statutes, we are providing the truth in taxation for the secondary tax. So this is the secondary tax that affects the flood control district. So the overall assessed values, this is just again similar to the primary tax. It'll affect certain property owners and it won't affect other property owners. But keeping the same property tax as we did in last year at 0.7763 cents, that would increase $1.28 annually on an average tax bill on a home valued at $100,000, or about 11 cents a month. With the proposed increase that we're recommending on the primary tax, we also have to do the same for the secondary tax, so it's a proposed 2 cents increase for the flood district. So this would be a tax levy of $2,495,007, and it would be about an additional $2 from the $128 we saw in the previous slide, an additional $2, so a total of $328 on a home valued at $100,000. Any questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on the secondary tax? So in summary, the annual effect on primary and secondary tax This is for the overall assessed values increase. The primary tax remaining the same at 3.8815. The primary tax increase on a home valued at $100,000 is $564. Again, I want to emphasize, this is only for the homes on an average tax bill. It might not affect everyone. If your tax value did not change, this tax will not impact. The secondary tax rate remains the same as well at 0.7763 cents. The secondary tax levy on a $100,000 valued home is $1.28. So for an overall assessed value countywide, primary and secondary tax increase would be $692, or about a 58-cent per month increase. Any questions on this slide? We also give you a summary for the annual effect on primary and secondary tax based on the proposed 10-cent increase and the proposed 2-cent increase that staff is recommending. So the proposed 10-cent increase is the primary tax rate of 3.9815, and that would be a price increase of an additional $10, which would be a total of $1564. It's the $564 of the overall increase plus the $10, which is a total of $1564. The proposed 2-cent increase for the secondary tax is 0.7963. It would increase the taxes $3.28 on a $100,000 home. So including both the proposed increase plus the assessed value increase for primary and secondary tax is $1892, or about $158 per month. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, any questions or comments?
I just have a quick question. There's not a 5-cent increase on here, but if it were 5 cents, it would be half of that, right? It would be $7.82 instead of 15.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if it's a 5 cents, that is correct. That would be the 5. So I have that information. It's not in the presentation, but if you, what particular number were you requesting?
5-cent increase?
So the 5-cent increase, the impact would be the $564, which is for the overall assessed value, plus the $5, so it would be a $1064 overall impact. That would be the the overall value increase plus the 5 cents for the primary tax.
But that would also increase the amount of money we have to take out of our rainy day fund.
That is correct. It would cut it in half, yes, sir.
Exactly. I just want to make sure we have all options on the table.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board?
Gentlemen? Proceed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, is it appropriate to move on to the budget?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the public, this is the, I'll go over all our budget book, and I'll highlight the major items that we have and what we have submitted to the board for approval. So Schedule A is the summary schedule of estimated revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 2019-2020. The general fund, I'm trying to point it out over here, but the general fund for 2019-2020, the expenditures we have budgeted here, $29,056 over here. Again, the adopted expenditures for FY 2019 over here are $28,177,834. We were able to hold, and I'll go back to the mandated expenses. We were able to hold the controllable expenses, and every department head, I want to thank them here, an elected official, for holding down their expenses in the department. However, the overall increase is due to the continuous rise in healthcare and liability insurance costs, the retirement costs, and the Arizona long-term care system cost, and an increase in the minimum wage as a result of the Proposition 206. That's the huge impact that we're facing with, which is that 49% impact that we've seen from 2016 to 2020. Special revenue funds for fiscal year 1920 are going to be $44,453,378. For FY 2018-2019, the adopted budgeted expenditures were $42,459,260. Right there, the special revenue funds. These are mostly federal and state grants, and they are projections of anticipating funding for the year. Debt service funds, we have budgeted expenditures for FY 1920 at $946,882. For FY 18, FY 19, adopted budgeted expenditures were $949,174, a decrease of about $2,000. It's a small reduction in administrative fees. Our capital project funds, budgeted expenditures for FY 1920 are $2,298,967. Our adopted expenditures for last year were $833,559. So these again are federal and state grants, and then this increase that you see from one year to the next is our CDBG projects and then the airport project that you previously approved earlier today. The enterprise funds, our landfill fund, and our budgeted expenditures for this coming year are $6,551,131. And our adopted expenditures for last year were $5,643,511. So the difference is due to the savings and the closure and post-closure costs that are associated with the landfill. So total for all funds, budgeted expenditures are $83,250,414. And the total for 2018-2019 was $78,063,338. Now, keep in mind that there's a gap in between one year and another. Those, again, are special revenue funds. They're going to be capital project funds. None of those funds that are taxed, none of those funds that are affecting the general fund or we're taxing the general community on.
Those are all grants that are helping support what we're doing in this community.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the majority of those are 64% of those are grants that are there for projects that are going to enhance and assist the community. That is correct.
So again, the capital projects fund, we just approved $1.2 million expenditure. That is 100% grant. Well, 90-something% grant.
Well, 95%.
It's about a 4% match that the county needs to provide, which is a really fabulous deal for the amount of money that the federal government is upfronting. So those are huge improvements for our community, absolutely, for the airport. Any questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on Schedule A?
Any other questions?
I would like to move on to Schedule B. So Schedule B will give you a summary of the tax levy and tax rate information. In the truth in taxation portion, we went over some of the items here on Schedule B. So the maximum allowable property tax levy for FY19 and FY20 is $17,211,959. What we are recommending and requesting is a tax levy of $13,707,528. That includes the 10-cent increase that we are proposing. That amount, it will generate about $344,000 additional per year, which is about a $3.4 million over a 10-year period, which is a very large amount there that we can utilize. On the second page of Schedule B, there's a proposed 10 cents increase, which would have the tax rate at 39815. And then for the secondary property tax rate, it's the 2% increase on the for 0.7963. So the county used, again, a significant amount of savings to balance the budget, and the impact is, I'll go back again to the impact that we've done. We've seen the impacts of Proposition 206, the insurance, the retirements, and all those mandated expenses. That's the reason why staff is proposing this increase, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Any questions on Schedule B?
No, just a comment. When we looked at our jail district, which was voter approved and based on sales tax revenue, over the years, the sales tax has been very wishy-washy. And so over those years, we've had to transfer funds from the general fund to cover debt service, which is something we anticipated when it went out to the voter for approval, and it was sold to the community, and they approved it. Shortly after that, we had a huge crash in the economy. And so over the years, we had somewhere close to $18 million in savings. And we've been very frugal, but over the years, we've been dwindling it down to the point now, I think we may have $5.5 to $6 million in savings over the last, 7, 8 years since the crash of the economy went down. So, when you think about it, we've really tried to be very conscientious about not going even way up to it. What is the maximum levy limit that we're allowed? If it was up to the 17 million, what is it? It's more than 10 cents. It'll be $2 and something.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that would be a close amount, about $2, correct?
So we're just asking for 10 cents.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I echo, those comments. We have been able to bounce back from the economy that our community took a toll back in 08, 09, and I know the rest of the state has been able to bounce back, but we don't foresee that here, and it's really a roller coaster that we anticipate. I do again commend the elected officials and the department heads for holding the line. They haven't been provided with anything additional or requested anything additional, and they've been able to provide the same level of services or even more with the same amount of resources that we've been able to provide. But it has reduced our savings, correct?
So the other thing I want to point out is really an urban-rural divide, where if you were paying attention in the newspaper, just this last year, Tucson reached the level of the job level that it had in 2008 before the crash. But if you look at what happened in Maricopa, they reached that employment number many years ago. But if you look at what's going on in rural Arizona, nobody in rural Arizona has bounced back to those levels. But it's not just a Santa Cruz County issue. It's a Cochise County, it's a Greeley County, it's a Navajo County, it's a Apache County. Every county that's urban, that's rural, is facing what we're facing with as far as the economy. The other thing I'd like to commend, just this past year.
Could you speak up?
The other thing, are the mics on?
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Get closer. The other thing I'd like to do is commend, the actions of the Sheriff's Department. This last year was the first year in many years that we did not have to transfer general revenue funds to the jail district. That was made possible by the fact that we had enough federal prisoners, whether it's U.S. Marshals, Customs and Border Protection, ICE, or Border Patrol, including the agreement that we made with the city of Tucson to house some of their prisoners. These are the things that the county's been doing to try to help the impact. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll move on to Schedule C. Schedule C would provide a summary of fund type of revenue other than property taxes. So the general fund has an estimated revenues for 19-20 of $12,190,184. Last year, our general fund estimated revenues were 12,650,105. Our actual revenues for FY 18-19, currently they're at 12,839,136. However, we still have some accruals that are pending and forthcoming in the next, by the end of the month. Schedule C, our special revenue funds for FY 19, we have estimations of 25,032,232. For a total of all funds for FY 19-20, estimated revenues of 41,033,212.
Can I ask you a question on the, on Schedule D, general fund estimated revenues, those are other than property tax, so that's sales tax?
That would, yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that would be a numerous round of sales taxes and other type of taxes, auto tax, the, different types of tax, and I'll go back to the slides here so we can see that.
And then why are you projecting a lower number?
I'm very conservative when I do the assessment, and the projections are that the sales taxes aren't holding up to what we anticipate. Any type of improvement, we see a lot of vacancies, we see stores that are closing, so we anticipate something that is a little, less than last year. Unfortunately, we don't see that the projections that we anticipate are not what we hope they would be.
And how have your state shared revenues?
The state shared revenues are anticipated to be higher. Yeah, that proves that. I mean, it's the large metropolitan areas have had that success, and unfortunately, echoing your comments, our areas, the rural areas, have not.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Schedule B, that's the summary of interfund transfers in and out. That schedule will show the mandated funding that we have for the jail district, the environmental health department, and the animal control department. That shows you the funding that we have to provide to those departments, as well as the cash matches that we have for federal and state grants.
And even though we have a jail district, we still have the mandatory funds that we right? So everything that is about 2 million or whatever it is out of general fund to cover some of the cost along with whatever generated through the jail district.
That is correct.
Maintenance of effort.
Maintenance of effort. Yes, sir. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Chairman, on Schedule D?
The maintenance of effort was the number that we were paying prior to the bond?
Yes.
To maintain the jail?
Yes.
So everybody understands what that maintenance of effort is.
Correct. Schedule E, that would provide you the summary by department of expenditures within each fund type. So as we reviewed in Schedule A, for the general fund for fiscal year 18-19, the budgeted expenditures were $28,177,834. And for FY 19-20, our budgeted expenditures are $29,056,000. The rest, I won't go over the rest of Schedule E. What it provides the same breakdown of each particular fund. Schedule F is not in our slide. It is in your budget, however, but it's not in the slide. That's the summary by department of expenditure. So it provides even a larger breakdown there of all the expenses. Schedule G, that's the full-time employee and personnel compensation schedule. That provides the number of full-time equivalent and compensation related to each fund. So all our FTEs, that's full-time equivalent. For the general fund, our FTEs are 214.5, which for salary costs are 9,811,644, plus all the related expenses gives us a total of 15,345,083. So all the related expenses there, so the significance there is this, just the salaries are at 9.8 million, the expenses are 5 million. So that's, if you can kind of figure, it's about a 50% hit that we take there with healthcare, with retirement, just so the community can understand of what it takes to function as a county, what it takes to have staff and the expense associated with that expense. The rest of Schedule G will provide you with the total of the full-time equivalent. So we have 415 in total for all funds. The compensation, including EREs, are 27,436,700. 27 million. So thank you. 27,436,700.
We could give you rebates, please, 27.
Definitely. Any comments or questions, Mr. Chairman, members of the board on Schedule G? And the last slide is information that's provided by the Arizona Department of Revenue. That shows you the maximum allowable levy amount that the county is allowed to seek, and that's set by the state, of course, and that amount we showed back in Schedule B as well. But all that information is given to us by the Arizona Department of Revenue.
Questions, gentlemen?
Thank you, Mauricio.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on me personally, and I want to thank the community for being here and the department heads, of course, Ms. St. John for her support, and the board as well.
I want to personally thank you for your effort and your presentation. And I too want to thank our department heads and electeds for working hard to keep to their budget, and I believe they do a great job. I know sometimes it's really difficult to try and really pinch pennies and get what you want, and I know Jennifer does a great job of going back and forth and really working with our department heads, and I thank her as well. At this time, we're going to go ahead and listen to our public. And I want to thank the public for being here and giving their input as well. We appreciate you being here as well. We will go ahead and start out with, I believe, Mr. Pepe Araiza, and he is setting up a little presentation. And next on deck is Beth Castro. So we'll go ahead and start with Pepe. Good morning, sir. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Pepe Araiza, and I would like to thank you, Chairman of the Board and members of the board, for the opportunity to come here and express my feelings against the proposed tax increase. Even though you're proposing 10 cents increase, and it seems minimal when compared to the $2 limit that you have. To state my case, I'm going to use Bob and Rita, who are residents of the state of Sonora. And I'm going to try to make my case here that even 10 cents increase of taxes, in this particular case, it will have a significant impact. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of background information, followed by a brief financials, and then I will conclude with comments and words of encouragement. So if you don't understand my English, I can switch to Spanish.
It's good, sir. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I thought it was. There it is. Okay. So that was. Trying to change the slide. Okay. Background information. Bob is an 82 years old gentleman. 1992-1994, Bob built their home. It's about, it's a 3-bedroom house, about 1,300 square feet. And in 2001, Bob was diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 lymphoma. Luckily, Bob is still around, fortunately for that. since this were not enough, Bob also suffers from Parkinson's disease. In 2015, he had a brain stimulator implanted to control his tremors. And this stimulator is doing a good job because you can barely notice his tremors on his hands there. Okay. Farther yet, in 2017, Bob had an accident and fractured a hip. Since then, he has been using a walker to get around, and somehow he manages to do that. When we move to the financials, briefly here. Bob's and Rita's combined monthly income is $2,662. Their expenses amount to $2,424 a month. I listed some of the expenses there, not all inclusive. And of course, these expenses vary from month to month, depending on what goes wrong with their vehicles or on their home. For instance, last year, they had issue with the water well, and it cost them over $1,200 to fix that, which are still paying monthly payments for that. Likewise, for the vehicle, they're making monthly payments to cover the last repairs that they incur. The vehicle is 18 years old, and they cannot afford to buy a newer one. So I'm going to go back to my next slide, to the real estate taxes. Bob and Rita cannot pay the real estate taxes on one payment or two payments a year, so they had made arrangements to make monthly payments. And as a result, they end up paying interest on that debt. It shows there $72.53, that it doesn't seem like a lot of money on interest, but in their situation, that small amount has a significant impact on them. Why am I saying that is that being poor is expensive. They can barely make the payments, and yet they get penalized for this thing. Although in 2018, I understand that the interest was forgiven, I don't know what's going to happen to 2019. As I was talking to Bob, as I was listening to Bob and Rita tell me their situation there, I wonder how many more people would be on the same situation they are. Folks, I found this information here. This is announcement of tax notice. It has 6,678 delinquent notices. So a tax increase, no matter how small it is, 10 cents, how is it going to help these people to get from under this mess? It is a very sad situation. 6,678 delinquencies. A tax increase most likely might add more listing to this tax notice. A tax increase is not the answer. A tax increase will not help these people. As I see it, and with all due respect, Chairman and members of the board, this is a reflection of your performance and your leadership. You can turn this around, you can do that, but not with tax increases. You can probably lower taxes. That might be a better solution than increasing taxes. Just imagine, if you could get $1,000 from each of these 6,678 delinquencies, you have a revenue here of nearly $7 million, which will cover this year and next year increases, plus the deficit, plus the debt, other debt, I forgot, $300 and some thousand, and it still has some change left.
Pepe, may I interject this real quickly? And I'm going to go back to Bob. There is a process for relief.
I am looking into that, Chairman. Yeah, I'm looking into that. As a matter of fact, I did part of that this morning, so we'll continue. But I would like to continue with this, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. As I said, imagine if you can get $1,000 from each of these 6,778 properties that are delinquent. you will have an income here, a revenue of nearly $7 million. That will cover your increases and the deficit and still have change for more stuff. Now, double your imagination. You get just under $14 million. There are other ways of doing this rather than increasing taxes. Now, think of this. If you were to get, on the average, $5,000 for each one of these delinquencies, $5,000, and I think you know where I'm going with this. $5,000 seems like a very doable and realistic amount on an average. You will get nearly half your $83 million budget if you work with these people. Lowering taxes seems like a better solution than increasing taxes. If you did that, you would help these people to get under that mess. This is unacceptable. And again, increasing taxes will make it work. I see Cruz doing the math there, so that's good. So, reducing taxes, is a better solution in my opinion.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Isa, thank you so much for presenting these things. And as the chairman mentioned, I think Bob and Rita could qualify for something that doesn't make them become delinquent. When I look at the overall tax structure of what we're charging, unfortunately or fortunately, our treasurer gets a check every 6 months or twice a year. But in there, it's not just the property tax that's included, it's also the school districts, it's the fire districts, it's the community college district, and it's not that it's a cop-out. The thing is that there are other taxing entities within this community as there are everywhere. Now you point out to Pima County and you point to Cochise where they lowered their taxes, but when you look at their assessed valuation and the amount of people that live in Pima County, Cochise County may have a lower tax rate, but they also have a military base that contributes to the tax base. So if you were to take away that military base, then you would see something different. And if I may continue, and just to conclude, unfortunately, what has happened in our state is we have a legislature that says we're going to give everybody tax cuts, but what they've done is they push those problems onto the local communities where we're the ones that have to sit here and have to raise taxes because the state has not given enough money to education, is not giving enough money to fix roads. We haven't gone out, at least that I know, and the only thing that we went out was a jail district, and even the bonds that we sold for the courthouse, we did that internally, but we haven't gone like Pima County has gone and put taxing districts for transportation, which are also part of the secondary tax cut. So when I look at the overall thing, and I concur with you, I think that as a board, we have really struggled and we have looked at how do we protect the interests of our residents. But unfortunately, when we have mandates, it makes it very hard for us. You also need to be able to talk to your legislative representative and say you have to stop passing the cost on to the local jurisdictions, and that's what's happened. That's why schools are going for override. And the other thing too, and I will conclude with this, is so these entities, they have taxing authority, and the school districts, the community colleges, they set their own tax rate. They have their own board. We just approve them. We have no authority to change them, to modify them, or send them back to have those entities do that. And I would suggest to you that just like you're here today, that you go to those governing board meetings and make your case as well, because at the end of the day, for every dollar this county and the treasurer receives, it comes out to about 25 cents, 26 cents of the dollar stays for our general fund and to provide services. So it's a big ball that goes there. So just wanted to explain that it's just not just the county that's looking at that. So thank you, Mr. Horacio. Thank you.
When they finish it, I am
Mr.
going to
Hernandez,
do that.
I'm gonna ask you to please wrap up, because we've limited it to 5 minutes per person.
Sure. Your point, Member Reese, is well taken, but however, I cannot help but go back to this. There is a potential of millions of dollars of revenue here that can cover your expenses. And if you did that, and I think that you can do that by reducing taxes, that would be a better solution than increasing taxes, no matter how small that increase is. Right? If you could get, let's say, $5,000 from this, or whatever amount, we all be winners. You get your revenue, these people will get their properties, and we all get lower taxes there. So, in conclusion then, in behalf of Bob and Rita, I would ask you to reconsider raising taxes there. A better solution, lower taxes, and then we can all be winners, right? So I know you can do this, and I encourage you to do this. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment,
Before you step away from the podium, I would ask you to talk to our treasurer. A vast majority of those delinquencies are Rio Rico properties. There's a company that's never gonna ever pay us a penny for those properties. In fact, the county is looking at taking the property, which is the only solution that we have.
Yeah, that would be good. That means more revenue for you at the end, right?
I'll also have Bob and Rita visit the county assessors, because there is a